Hi, I'm Arlith. For 23 years, I've been the kind of mom who'd move mountains for her daughter. Zoe was my everything. Bright, ambitious, and I thought, honest. I worked 2 jobs since her father left when she was 8, putting her through college and helping with her first apartment. That's why what happened last Friday still makes my hands shake when I think about it. Mom, I'm going to need another loan, Zoe said, not even looking up from her phone as I placed dinner on the table. Her voice had that practiced casualness that always made my stomach tighten. Sweetie, I just helped with your car payment last month, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. What's this one for? She sighed dramatically. Just some bills piling up. You know how it is. My colleague Vivian had warned me just yesterday over coffee. I could still hear her distinct, rapid-fire way of speaking. Arlith, honey, you've got to stop being your daughter's personal ATM. She's got 3 credit cards with your name on them. When Marcus told me he saw her at Tiffany's last week, I nearly spit out my latte. I'd dismissed her concerns. Viv, you're exaggerating. Zoe would never shop at Tiffany's on my dime. Those cards are just for emergencies. But now, watching Zoe scroll through her phone while asking for more money, something clicked. Zoe, I need to ask you something, I said, sitting down. Have you been using the emergency cards I put in your name? Her eyes darted up, then back to her phone. What? No, maybe like once for gas. Then why did Uncle Marcus see you at Tiffany's last week? The phone clattered onto the table. He's spying on me now? Great. He wasn't spying. He was buying an anniversary gift for Aunt Helen and saw you. Whatever. Zoe rolled her eyes. It's not a big deal, Mom. I needed something nice for Kylie's wedding. You spent my money on jewelry for a wedding? Without asking? It's not like you ever say no anyway, she muttered. Excuse me? My voice had gone quiet. You heard me. Zoe stood up suddenly. You're always going on about how you'll do anything for me, so what's the big deal? It's just money. Just money? I felt something cold settle in my chest. Zoe, I work 60 hours a week. I haven't had a vacation in 5 years. I've been putting off knee surgery because of the cost. Here we go with the guilt trip, she groaned. Poor martyred mom. This isn't about guilt. It's about respect. About honesty. Oh my God, can you stop? This is exactly why I never tell you anything. That's when my phone rang. It was Marcus. I answered despite Zoe's dramatic sigh. Arlith, you need to check your credit card statements, my brother said without preamble. His deep voice was unusually tense. All of them. Right now. Marcus, what's going on? Diana just called me. Said Zoe's been bragging about how she's been funding their girls' trips to Vegas. On your dime. I looked at Zoe, whose face had gone pale. Diana's lying, she said quickly. She's just jealous. Marcus continued. She sent me screenshots, sis. Zoe's been doing this for months. There's more. Purchases at designer stores, cash advances. Diana felt guilty keeping quiet. Marcus, I'll call you back, I said quietly, ending the call. Zoe, I said, my voice trembling slightly. Tell me the truth, now. So what if I use the cards? She exploded. You owe me after dragging me through your sad single mom life. I deserved nice things after watching you struggle and complain my whole childhood. I worked those extra shifts for your future, not for designer handbags. I never asked you to. I never asked for any of this. She grabbed her jacket. You know what? I'm done with your control and your guilt and your perfect mom routine. Get out of my life. The door slammed so hard the windows rattled, leaving me standing alone in the kitchen, betrayal burning like acid in my chest. The next morning, I sat at my kitchen table surrounded by credit card statements, my brother Marcus leaning over my shoulder. Each highlighted charge felt like another small betrayal. $5,000 at Nordstrom? $3,000 at that resort in Miami? I whispered, flipping through pages. There's over $30,000 here, Marcus. How did I not notice? Marcus ran a hand over his closely cropped hair. She had the statement sent to her email, not yours, he said, tapping a section of fine print. Classic move. Reminds me of what her father pulled before he left. Don't, I warned. This is different. Is it? His voice had that gruff concern I'd known since childhood. Look, you need to call the bank and the police. This is fraud, Arlith. Plain and simple. My phone buzzed with a text from Vivian. Any updates? Want me to come over? I should talk to Diana first, I said, standing up. She might know more. 2 hours later, Diana sat across from me at a cafe, nervously stirring her untouched latte. Her normally perfectly manicured nails were chewed down, and she couldn't meet my eyes. Mrs. Wheeler, I swear I didn't know at first, Diana said, her voice rising and falling in that sing-song way she'd had since high school. Zoe said you were totally cool with her using the cards, said you wanted her to live her best life or whatever. And you believed that? Well, yeah, you've always been super generous. But then in Vegas, she was throwing around cash like crazy, buying rounds for people she just met. When I asked about it, she laughed and said... Diana hesitated. Said what? Said you were too busy working to notice and too guilty to say no, even if you did. Diana finally looked up. That's when I got suspicious. I know how hard you work. It didn't seem right. Did you confront her? I tried. She got so mad, said I was jealous and poor and wouldn't understand family dynamics. Diana pulled out her phone. But I took pictures of receipts she left lying around and screenshots of her texts bragging about it to Kylie. I scrolled through Diana's phone, each image making me sicker. There's something else, Diana said quietly. She's planning to move to New York next month, with her boyfriend Jake. She's already put deposits down on an apartment, using your cards. My hand froze on the phone. Jake? What boyfriend? The one she's been seeing for 6 months? The investor with the BMW? Diana's eyes widened. Oh God, you didn't know about him either. Before I could respond, Officer Reynolds arrived, a heavyset woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense manner. Mrs. Wheeler, Marcus called the station, she said, sliding into the seat beside me. I understand you're dealing with a potential case of identity theft and credit fraud. By my own daughter, I clarified, my voice hollow. Family fraud cases are unfortunately common, she replied, her pencil already moving across her notepad. But also the most prosecutable given the paper trail. Now, have you contacted the credit card companies? Not yet. I wanted to understand everything first. Smart move, Diana interjected. Zoe's been telling everyone that her mom, that you, approved all this. Officer Reynolds tapped her pencil. Doesn't matter what she told friends. Credit cards in your name? Statements diverted? That's textbook fraud. We can subpoena her text messages to build the case. What exactly would happen to her? I asked, my throat tight. Depending on the amount, which looks substantial, she's looking at potential felony charges. Probation at minimum, possibly jail time. Diana gasped softly, but I felt an unexpected calm settling over me. Let me show you these images, I said, handing Officer Reynolds Diana's phone. And then I want to talk about what happens next. 3 days later, I stood in my kitchen brewing coffee when I heard a key in the front door. I'd been waiting for this moment, had rehearsed what I would say. Still, my hands trembled slightly as Zoe walked in, looking annoyed and slightly wary. Finally answering my calls would have been easier than canceling my cards, she said by way of greeting, dropping her designer purse on the counter. That was extreme, Mom, even for you. I poured coffee into 2 mugs, keeping my voice casual. You've been busy with Jake, I assume. Your investor boyfriend? Zoe's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose. So Diana's been running her mouth. Great. Yes, Jake is an investor, and yes, we're serious. Not that you bothered to ask. Interesting career, investment. Must be doing well with that BMW and the New York apartment deposits. Her eyes narrowed. How do you know about the apartment? Or know that Jake's not an investor but a bartender with 3 outstanding warrants? Because I've done my research, Zoe. Something I should have done a long time ago. You had me investigated? Her voice rose in outrage. What is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I laughed, a sound without humor. I've spent the last 3 days looking at credit card statements showing over $30,000 in fraud. That's what's wrong. It's not fraud if you gave me the cards. For emergencies, not for Vegas weekends and Tiffany bracelets. Fine, she threw up her hands. I got carried away. I'm sorry, okay? I'll pay you back eventually. Like you paid back the last 5 loans? I pushed a folder across the counter. I've documented those too. Another $12,000? For the first time, uncertainty flickered across her face. Mom, come on. I made a mistake. We can work something out. That's actually why I asked you here, I said calmly. To work something out. Relief washed over her features. See? I knew you'd understand. Maybe I could pay a little each month. I've filed fraud charges, Zoe. The silence was absolute. Her face went from shock to disbelief to fury in seconds. You're joking, she whispered. Officer Reynolds has all the documentation, the diverted statements, the unauthorized purchases, the texts to your friends bragging about it. Mom, you can't do this, Zoe's voice cracked, tears suddenly welling. I'm your daughter. Yes, you are, which is why this hurts so much. I said I was sorry. What more do you want? You're really going to call the cops on your own child? I met her eyes steadily. Already have. This is insane. Over some shopping? Everyone's going to think you're crazy. Maybe. Or maybe they'll see a mother who finally held her daughter accountable. Tears streamed down her face now, her voice taking on the pleading tone that had worked so many times before. Mom, please. I promise I'll change. I'll get a better job, move back home, whatever you want. What I wanted was honesty, respect, basic decency. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. $30,000 isn't a mistake. It's a choice. Multiple choices made daily for months. Her demeanor changed instantly, tears disappearing. You vindictive bitch. You'll regret this. Jake has friends who what, Zoe? Are you threatening me now? Because that would be extremely unwise given your current legal situation. She grabbed her purse, hand shaking with rage. This isn't over. I'm your daughter, your only family. You need me more than I need you. That's where you're wrong, I said quietly. I don't need someone who steals from me, lies to me, and tells me to get out of their life. I was angry. People say things when they're angry. And people do things when they've been betrayed. The police will be contacting you tomorrow. I turned away, signaling the end of our conversation. You should probably start looking for a good lawyer instead of a New York apartment. Her parting words, a stream of threats and curses, barely registered as the door slammed behind her. For the first time in days, I felt like I could breathe again. 6 months later, I sat in the courthouse corridor with Marcus and Vivian beside me. The plea deal had been finalized. Probation, restitution payments, and community service for Zoe. You holding up okay, sis? Marcus asked, his deep voice gentle. Better than I expected, I admitted. Officer Reynolds said this was the best outcome. Absolutely the right call, Vivian nodded. She needs consequences, not coddling. The look on her face when the judge denied her request to move states. Marcus shook his head. No New York escape plan for Miss Zoe. I spotted Zoe walking toward us, her attorney behind her. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by a modest blue dress. Can we talk? Zoe asked quietly. Alone? After a glance at Marcus, who nodded, I followed her to a quiet corner. I guess I should thank you, she began. Your lawyer could have pushed for jail time. That was never my goal, Zoe. Jake's gone. You were right about him. She took a deep breath. Mom, I've been doing a lot of thinking in therapy. I was awful to you. I see that now. I'm glad therapy is helping, I said carefully. Could we start having dinner again? Try to rebuild? I miss you, Mom. The words I'd once longed to hear. But something had fundamentally changed. Zoe, I wish you well with your probation and therapy. I truly do. Her face fell. But rebuilding trust takes more than an apology after being caught. It takes consistent change over time. I am changing. I got a job. I'm sticking with therapy. For 6 months after 23 years of a pattern. So you're just done? Writing off your only daughter? Her voice rose slightly. I'm protecting myself, I corrected gently. Something I should have done years ago. Everyone deserves a second chance. This would be chance number 27 by my count. Zoe's eyes filled with tears. What do I have to do to prove myself? Live your life. Honor your commitments to the court. Build a future based on integrity. But do it for yourself, not to win my approval. And us? Will we ever? I don't know. Right now, I'm focusing on rebuilding my own life. As she walked away, Vivian and Marcus appeared at my sides. You okay? Marcus asked. I think I actually am, I replied. It feels like the end of something, but also the beginning. That evening on my back porch with wine glasses in hand, Marcus asked, What's next for you? I put a deposit on that painting class, and I scheduled my knee surgery. What about that Alaskan cruise we talked about? Vivian asked. Already booked, for all three of us. Marcus looked surprised. What happened to saving every penny? I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in months. I realized something. I've spent my life putting everyone else first, especially Zoe. It's time I valued myself as much as I valued others. To new beginnings, Vivian raised her glass. And hard-earned wisdom, Marcus added. I lifted my glass. To setting boundaries and keeping them. As our glasses clinked, I felt the last weight lift from my shoulders. Sometimes the greatest act of love isn't what you give someone, but what you finally stop giving. And sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's freedom. Have you ever had to make the difficult choice between enabling someone and helping them face consequences? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.